World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists in the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals, bureaucrats, and the so-called diplomats who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out.
We continue to bring you the day's top stories, and we do want to begin here with this breaking news out of the Middle East, as we're learning that 3 U.S. service members have been killed and 25 others injured in a drone attack targeting a base in Jordan, a massive escalation in the Middle East.
Maersk is suspending all vessels' passage through the Red Sea in response to Iranian-backed Houthi rebel attacks in the Middle East.
2 commercial vessels were struck there earlier today. The latest strikes were launched out of Yemen. So far, no injuries have been reported. The attacks are part of the escalating tensions in the region, which have only heightened since the start of the Israel-Hamas war.
Indian authorities are scrambling to contain an outbreak of the deadly Nipah virus after 2 people died of the disease in Kerala and at least 3 others tested positive. It's the state's 4th outbreak since 2018 and has left the region on edge, with schools and offices closed and a mass testing effort underway. So what do we know about the virus? Nipah was first identified in 1998 when pig farmers in Malaysia and Singapore began to fall ill. The outbreak ultimately killed more than 100 of the nearly 300 people infected. Scientists learned that humans can contract Nipah directly through contact with the bodily fluids of infected bats and pigs or through contaminated food.
The number of U.S. patients with a rare type of monkeypox virus has grown. The CDC has confirmed 1 case in Massachusetts and 4 additional cases of the orthopox virus. Those samples still have to be tested at the CDC headquarters here in Atlanta, but investigators assume they will also be confirmed as monkeypox. The Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin joins us now to talk about this. So, Beth, what is the level of concern here?
So, Christine, I think, there is definitely a level of concern. The monkeypox virus is typically found in Central and West Africa, but we've had monkeypox outbreaks before. We had one in 2003, and it was tied to imported prairie dogs and other animals coming into the U.S. But it is not clear this time around how this virus is spreading into the U.S. and around the world, and that's what's concerning.
A warning from the CDC about a new COVID-19 variant. It is the fastest growing strain of the virus in the U.S., already dominant in the Northeast, where it is estimated to cause about 1/3 of new infections. And experts believe it will soon be everywhere.
In a matter of weeks, it's expected to become the leading coronavirus variant around the world. JN1 has been dubbed a variant of interest by the World Health Organization because it's spreading so quickly.
We kind of sensed something different was brewing.
Dr. Joseph Cabaza is a pulmonary and critical care physician at the Cleveland Clinic. He says the past couple of weeks he's seen more people being admitted into the ICU with lung issues related to COVID-19.
They have not led to as many ventilators or nothing like the volume we saw early on, but it really, that has been the notable change.
The CDC estimates COVID-19 cases caused by this variant, JN1, more than doubled in the U.S. between late November and mid-December, perhaps from holiday travel and waning immunity. JN1 has only one change to its spike protein compared with the variant it descended from. But that change seems to have been enough to make JN1 a fitter and faster virus.
A new report from the United Nations says more than 258 million people faced food insecurity last year. That's a 34% increase from 2021.
Yeah, staggering jump there. Now, while some of that increase may be attributed to the UN analyzing more nations, the Secretary General of the UN says, quote, "We're moving in the wrong direction," pointing to the fact that this is the 4th consecutive year that those rates have increased.
Choice our ancestors could only dream of. Modern supermarkets have it all. That is, until they don't. Across the country, fruit and veg aisles are increasingly bare. Tesco has joined Aldi, Asda and Morrison's in introducing rationing. I don't suppose you've noticed vegetable shortages when you're in the shop?
Massive.
You have?
Yeah, just now.
Were you looking for them particularly, or?
Tomatoes, no, they're a bit insipid this time of year. I think like everything else, we just go with the flow and see what happens, you know? That's it. That's it.
That's pretty sanguine of you.
Well, what else can we do, babe?
Today, a powerful earthquake struck off the southern Philippine coast, prompting a tsunami warning. The quake had a preliminary magnitude of 7.6 and was centered near the island of Mindanao. The shaking had diners at this restaurant holding on as their drinks and tables swayed. So far, no reports of injuries.
And you might call it rattling off, because the first week we've had multiple tremors on the East Coast of America. We also had the deadly earthquake in Japan. Recovery is still underway there. If you hadn't heard about it, first up, it was the small quake that happened in Astoria, Queens, that shook residents yesterday morning, 1.7 on the magnitude scale. The shaking, it jolted residents awake on Roosevelt Island and into the Upper East Side of Manhattan right about 5:45 a.m. Notice all the first responders coming out, because the rattle is thought to have caused a series of small explosions that actually knocked out power in Queens. So residents say they actually felt the vibration like it was happening right below their feet. That was wild.
Yeah, that is a wild. This was more shallow from what it looks like and where it was based on the depth, but this hasn't happened in a couple of decades this strong.
We are experiencing quite a bit of shaking. If you'll give us a brief moment here, we're making sure that nothing is going to come down in the studio here.
And it is going for quite a bit, everybody. It continues
this is a very strong
to rattle
earthquake.
pretty strong here.
8:21 here on the air. We're experiencing very strong shaking.
Wow.
I think we need to get under the desk.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back after
We'll be right
this.
back.
Wow.